Welcome to the Collector's Archive. Interface access loading. File Alexis Transformers the show.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Ed. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Getting there, wherever there is, but I'm getting there. It will start off by, people are going to know who you are, I would reckon, because you've just hit a milestone, haven't you, on Transformers the show? Is it 1,000 subscribers you've just hit?
We have just tipped over, when this has been recorded. Literally just tipped over 1,000 in the last day or two. So
yeah,
potentially someone might know me. I don't think I'm that big in the community, but it's good. It's good to be part of the community. I like being part of the community. And thank you for having me on as well.
Stuff. Right, so go on then. If you want to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, and not that it needs saying, but you can do, because there are other things in there, but just tell us what your current collecting focus is.
Sure. So Alexis is part of Transformers the show, part of the TF UK community. I go to a number of conventions. I do a Friday night talk show with 3 other fine gentlemen, and we've got some new people which have joined recently as well. And I've been doing that for just over 3 years. And we like to have shits and giggles, really. Hope I can swear on your channel. If not, beat me out.
That's cool.
And just like to recreate the fun that we have when we get together, really. So fairly carefree. I collect mainly Transformers. You probably see over this shoulder here, reversed. Some Thundercats as well. I collect a little bit of He-Man. I think that's primarily it, really. But comics, Marvel comics, got some G1 stuff, and then mainly Masterpiece, and then I've spread out into Legends as well. And I've got the occasional Chug figure, but I try not to drink the Chug Kool-Aid. Apart from this guy here, who's quite nice. So I collect most things. Challenge is space. You don't have as much space. So.
No. So with regards to space, then, would you say is that something that like shapes your collection? Or is there something that does shape your collection now? And like motivations behind it, and going past that, do you have a particular goal with regards to collecting?
I used to have a goal. The goals changed based on, I guess, like your appreciation of the figures, and my personal collections evolved with the evolution of Masterpiece and other figures getting better. If I look at a figure that I had 5 years ago and then compare it to a figure I bought yesterday, the engineering tends to be leaps and bounds ahead, really, and it makes you wonder how much you are drawn into that original figure that you liked, how much you're drawn into the character, really, what's your emotional attachment to the character. I find that I've drawn in more to figures that I had as a child. I think everyone gets a bit of FOMO occasionally as well, and you buy figures that you didn't have as a child as well. But I find they're the figures that drop off quicker than other ones, really. But I primarily try to display. That is a challenge, but I like to have action shots. So I've got, you can't quite see here, the action shot of Prime and Megs, just that shot there. I've got some movie action stuff behind the camera over here. And then I've sort of tried to do some sort of pose and have some other figures, and sort of got Scourge and Cyclones flying in there. So it's hard to do that though with space as well. Like I've got a lot of figures which are still boxed. I'm trying to downsize as well on things like duplicates and other stuff as well. So it's what makes you happy as a collector, really. So I guess, and for me, I like to fiddle. I like to make them into action poses, and when I have time, try and take photographs and try and tell a story. That's when I don't have as much time as I used to. 3 children changes the guy's perspective. All my free time was gone. I've got to wait till little man is a bit bigger now, and then not as he doesn't need as much attention. So that I can get back into that as well.
Good stuff. So do you looking at your collection now, then has anything new come into your collection? And also, is there anything that's what's next on your radar? Have you any current orders in you're waiting for, any pre-orders, but then also elaborating on that, is there something that you'd like that isn't yet available?
So I guess starting from the top on that question, I guess what's new that's coming to my collection. I've got a box down there which has just come out, which it was the reissue actually of winter model kits as well. So I've got the Flames Toys, I think it's MLX or DLX, the smaller version, the sort of like the 6-inch figures of Rodimus from IDW.
Right.
I felt he scaled really well with the Chug figures, the sort of MMC figures. He's more screen accurate than the MMC version. He's probably more put together, literally better than the Hot Flame that there was around the third-party version. I actually sold that version, ironically, and it's just shot up in price. So that's one of my regrets actually selling that. But I sold it for what I paid for it, which is what I tend to do. And now it's like 3 times the price. So I've got the RC model kit, and I've got the Wingblade model kit coming in from Flames. They're down there. I tend to order in batches, I guess, or hauls or whatever you want to call it, in bulk, because I just don't want to pay like $7.50 postage per figure. That's that's ridiculous, right? When you're paying, like, if you buy 3 or 4 figures, then that's that's £30 worth of postage. But if I buy 4 figures and I bundle it once, then I can split the postage across all. That's like £2, less than £2 a figure. So I do have some stuff on pre-order. I tend to buy from a Mega Lock normally. Bought with them for years. I buy some stuff from Kapow occasionally. If I'm buying Chug figures, I'll buy from Comics and Cocktails. And then if I don't think Omega's going to get it, I will order from Shozi.
Right.
But I guess what I've got coming in the next week, I've got a couple of MMC Make Toys Combaticons, the Legend scale figures. I've got Swindle and Onslaught on order. I've got X-Trans spots. First of their what are they called? The
Omnibots. Vivianti.
Omnibots. That's it, Vivianti, the red Ferrari. 308 Daytona, I think it is.
Yeah.
Got him coming out as well. I think they've just released something else as well. Just pre-ordered the last 2 bots of the last 2 Fans Toys Aerial bots, and then Fans Toys Bandit, which was a myth almost.
Right.
And they now come obviously with the combiner parts as well. So they revealed that at TFCon this week, how they're going to do those.
Yeah.
I've got the Mod Fans roller come in as well. So that's coming out as well. And then the Kang Toys Ferrilla as well. The mini Ferrilla. That one's on its way as well. I think that's everything I've got that's about to come out.
Right.
And they'll arrive. I think probably Friday. So I do tend to order in bulk. Probably I would say I get figure. Well, it's like all the figures. Well, they tend to drop all at the same time, right? They never drop sporadically, do they? They always drop all at the same time.
Yeah, they do.
I'll pre-order these, and then that one come out as well. So so I got 3 or 4 pre-orders in the last 2 weeks that said, "Oh, we're available now." So I just hold off until they're all there, and I'll buy them all together. So and then So if you watch the show, you'll see that I don't get figures every week now. It's more probably once a month I get a box of figures.
Right. But so what about the something that you'd like to see made available that isn't at the moment?
Something that's in the pipeline, or something that doesn't exist?
Yeah, something that doesn't exist that you'd like to see.
It's hard now because there's been a lot of reveals recently. Obviously, with the Defensor Wars coming, X-Trans was released pretty much every obscure character. They're now doing the Photobots, aren't they? Which was one which I know Jamie had on his list.
I want the. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I think I am going to do now, and that's. I always forget his name. Is it Chase? The one that's the white RS200 Escort?
Searchlight.
Searchlight. That's it. Searchlight. Just because I love the RS200 Escort. I think it's a beautiful car.
Yep.
And I thought, right, I think I'll have that, because of the car. Because, again, no attachments to the throttle box. I did have Chase. Sorry, not Chase. Freeway.
Yep.
Somebody bought me Freeway. I don't know who it was, but I don't think I ever played with it. I don't have it anymore. I still have the decoy. The little came with the Hound decoy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had Freeway. Sorry, you were saying though. I interrupted you.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I had Searchlight as a child. I got the other ones when I got back into collecting back in the noughties. But Searchlight was the one I had. He was the only one I had as a child. So
yeah,
I do have a little collection of him as well. The bastards released him first. I'm like, okay, I have to get him at least.
Yeah.
And then once you get one right, it's like a Diamond or a Seeker. You have to get the rest because they're like bloody Pokemon, aren't they? You got to get them all.
Yes.
That's the challenge, though, right? You can go so broad, and I did used to watch it from all the way through, and I've cut back really to try not to get them all now.
Yeah.
I guess I guess I would probably say that something which hasn't been released, which they did attempt it a while back, which was the Autobot and Decepticon clones. I thought that was because they stood out to me in the Rebirth. When I watched that, which obviously when they had all the Headmasters and Target Masters, so they had an attempt at the Autobot clones, which I did have for a period, and they're a little bit weak. They were a little bit weak, I felt. Those are probably the ones, because again, we're going to get runabout and run amok now. We're going to get punch counter punch. Again, all again extra transpots again. Be nice potentially to have as well. This got over my shoulder potentially a MP size G-axis would be quite nice. It'd be nice potentially to have pretenders, like proper MP pretenders.
Right.
But again, like there's a lot of things out. If you want a lot of the obscure characters, even MPs now, they're there, right? You can get the monster bots. Most of the Power Masters are coming out now, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're only about time before they release the other ones. Headmasters are pretty much coming out now. There's been a few Target Masters. I'm sure they'll release those as well. So it's Throttle Bots. They haven't done an MP size Computron. They did obviously Make Toys did their Chug version, which is a very good version, and you had the Warpatron version, but there isn't that much left now. I mean, obviously you can buy Quintessons and the Sharkticons at MP scale. So there isn't that much, I guess, left now, is there really? So
no.
Unless you're going to go, I guess, Alphatron maybe. It's hard.
Right.
So, but I would say my top number would be probably the twins, the Autobot twins, I would say. Or Decepticon, the clones, the Decepticon clones and Autobot clones. Yeah, that's why. Because that hasn't been released or announced yet. So
no,
for me,
no.
Yeah.
I think if I was to answer that question, it would be an MP Impactor, but so you could make him into Zombie Impactor. Okay. Yeah. From the comics. Because that still sticks with me. Does that storyline when you see Zombie Impactor, and it was just like, that's cool. I mean, I thought Impactor was quite a good character, and it'd be nice to have an MP version of him. More in the style of his Marvel UK comics appearance.
Yep.
And to have him, you could have him in a little display with Springer. I think that'd be a cool little thing. But I mean, I know Ocular Max MMC did Spartan, wasn't it? They called it.
Yep.
But it wasn't.
It's quite diddy compared to the MP Springer, though, right?
Yeah. What that one for me? But then also, I think I'd also like to see an MP scale Death's Head.
Okay. Yep.
That'd be nice. I know Mark Hirschfeld made his own, and that's awesome. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I have seen that one. Yeah.
It's awesome. He's done a fantastic job on that. And it's like, if I ever won the lottery, it'd be like, yeah, Mark, here's a commission, make me one. It does. It's a beautiful looking piece, that. So, what are you digging on at the moment? As in, like when you come into your collection area or you sat there, what's the one, what's the piece that you keep picking up at the moment, and having a little fiddle about with?
Oh, I'll be honest, there hasn't been one recently. That's I'm trying to think what's. I'm sort of in this half phase at the moment, trying to pull together a TFC Hades combiner to pair off against the HasLab Star Saber, so I could do some photographs of that. And I've been fiddling with Wingblade as well, just transferring her. So I just got her into jet mode, and she's very fiddly. But if there's one that I keep playing with, I'm trying to think. There hasn't been one recently. I've been going through this phase of downsizing. It's sad, right? The ones that I fiddle with are the ones that go on eBay.
Right.
So the ones that I've been transforming and taking photographs of has been to make sure that they're in the prime condition, so I can put them back in the box and have a play. What I got out of the box recently to have a fiddle with was the new Fantoys Jetfire.
Right.
And I transformed that from jet mode into rope mode and had a play with that. And he sits on my shelf. He's just out of view. And that shelf there next to Prime, you might see his gun. He's having a conversation with Prime and the Protector bots.
Right.
Before he goes out on patrol. So I had a little fiddle with him very recently. I do go back to my Snapdragon quite a lot.
Yeah.
Headmark my X-Transport Snapdragon. Sorry, KFC Snapdragon.
Right.
That's probably one I keep going back to again and again. I guess if it's going back and forth, I do a lot of Legends figures because they're to hand at my desk. I've got all these little Legends figures just lying around my desk.
Yeah.
So I find they're good desk spots because they don't really get in the way. Or have the occasional chug bots. I've got Rodimus sit at my desk. He always sits here.
Right.
So I guess it's probably mainly the chug and the Legends figures that I'll have a little fiddle with because they're there.
Yeah.
I find sometimes if I'm going to get a masterpiece out, I've got to have some time to muck about with it, really.
Yeah.
So you need a good half an hour sometimes to transform these bots, don't you?
Yeah.
So that can be quite difficult. And when I got the Chug style that came out, the Studio Series style, that was interesting to transform. A bit more involved than I was anticipating. So a bit of a variety.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The one that I mean, it's back in the box now, but I spent a week, I think, or so, and I just kept picking it up and like putting it in a different pose and putting it back down, and that was the knockoff Shattered Glass Cyclonus that MS Toys did. The orange one. It's like very zesty. It's like it's lovely. It looks really nice, and the quality on it is really good as well. I was quite surprised. But yeah, there was just, again, not on my radar, but I got Ben from Ben's Collectibles hit me up, and he just says, "Oh, so I've got, do you fancy one of these?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take one of them." There was just something about it, so I just thought, yeah, well, we'll have that. It's like, you pick it up, you feel like you need a couple of ice cubes and a straw, while you're handling it. It's a beautiful, lovely piece it is. So, right. This is the bullseye question. Is this? Your family are safe, your money's in your back pocket, they're safe. But what's your rescue item? So something's happened at the house. You can dash back in and save one piece. What are you going to save?
Do you know what? I've been asked this many times before, and my answer's never changed.
Right.
I wouldn't save anything. I'd let it all burn. I would let it burn and take.
Yeah.
I get out.
Right.
I'd be out. But I'd have a new answer. I have a new answer now because I'd saved Jamie's Star Saber he lent me. So
right.
Jamie from the show, he lent me his. He bought two. He bought a second HasLab Star Saber and Leo Convoy, and I'd save that for him.
Right.
And a little bit for me because I haven't got it out of the box yet. I've had it for 6 months. It's still in the box. So
right. Yeah.
It's on the conveyor belt. It's coming through. I've got the other box out to take poses, but I just need a little bit more space to do it.
Right.
So I would save that. But my figures, I wouldn't go back in for my figures. I've had them.
No.
I get out.
Yeah.
I work about how I'm going to start again.
Right.
I guess if I was going to probably save one though, probably would be the one that Sam got me, which is my MP10. That's got. I have. So he sat over there in alt mode. I would never sell him because of the sentimental thing. But yeah, probably that one. Annoyingly though, I'd have to go into the loft to get the box. I think that's real, and that's what would kill me, right? Because I don't know about you, but I've got all the figures in. I have every box in the loft.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'd have to get the box, otherwise.
Yeah. No, I appreciate a nice box. No pun intended. It's I think there's certain companies that just go that little bit extra with the boxes, and my favourites box wise has always been Mastermind Creations. I just love their boxes, from the ones from the Perfection series, so like the Backdraft and Terregis and that, their version of Inferno and Trailbreaker. The boxes for them I just love. They've got that, they've got that like Diaclone feel to them, and just I just love them. They're just great. But then you get other companies which are quite bland, but then do the job. But saying that, Deformation Space, when they did their Seekers, Crimson Wings, the boxes the artwork on them ain't great, but the boxes, I love the boxes themselves. I like the fact that, they're flat and you lift the lid off and, the figure's there. The only thing I think what would accentuate that experience a bit more is if they were in a polystyrene tray inside rather than a plastic clamp.
Yeah.
That would be just...
I like TFC, Kang Toys, Xing Zhang for that reason. Toy World, because it comes in the styrofoam and everything's got like a protective case to go on top as well.
Yes.
So Kang Toys and Xing Zhang specifically have proper shiny cases. Like, they have like decent artwork. How shiny the Kang Toys figures are themselves. The boxes are exactly the same. They stand out. They pop like that.
Yeah.
So, and they're proper decent boxes. So you actually can hurt yourself on those boxes. But you take it out and it's all proper styrofoam inside. Even the minifigures, I don't know if I've got one to hand. If it's here in the loft. I think I might have. No, I think I moved it to the loft already.
Right.
Yeah. I was going to say I think I had a box to hand for one of the minifigures, but they're exactly the same. The Legends figures are kept in exactly the same style box and the same styrofoam, which I think is, it's not very eco to the planet. I get that, but again, if you're not throwing the box away, it doesn't matter, does it?
No. Years ago, I don't have them anymore. I mean, the amount of stuff that's come and gone from my collection, I could be here all day telling you about it. But years back, I got the Toy World Dinobots, the combiners that they did.
Yep.
And it's going to sound fucking weird. And it is weird, and I'm going to cut it out, so I don't care. But it's like, I can remember when I got them, the smell from the box, from the polys when you open the box, it was like euphoric. It was just like this like a almost not quite an acetone kind of smell, but
new car smell.
Pardon?
New car smell, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but that kind of thing. But it had a bit of a sting to it, and it was just like, it's just like there was something about it.
Brand new she was. She had the smell of a brand new car. That's just about the finest smell in the world. Except maybe for pussy.
So, where are we now? Okay, let's bring this back. So you mentioned earlier on, you did mention a couple of other things, but I don't know if you want to go into a bit more detail now, and that is about, other interests that you've got outside of your core collecting focus. So, things like other toy lines or franchises. I know you mentioned like Turtles and Thundercats. I mean, is there all that you want to discuss about those?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first thing that I branched out outside Transformers was NECA Turtles. I used to love the Turtles back in the 90s. I had the comic books of those as well. But there's so many different characters, right? I wanted just the core class, like the core cast of figures. So I bought a second-hand Turtles. I think they were about at the time when they were going for like £200. For the 4, I got them for 90 quid because they weren't complete. Didn't have quite all the hands. I think one of the pizza boxes was missing, so I thought that's fine. For what I want to pose them with, I've got them. And then I branched out and got Shredder and April, which were quite hard to find, and about 25-foot soldiers. So, because again, you find people selling these things in bulk, so like it's like okay. Because again, like if you buy a couple of new ones, you can swap the hands over and you can make alterations. It doesn't matter if you've got a few which don't have all the parts really. But then I bought the Super 7 Bebop and Rocksteady because they're bigger than NECA, and I felt in my mind's eye those characters being mutant warthogs and rhinoceros that they'd be bigger. So they do tower over the rest of the characters actually in there, even Shredder, which I thought was quite poetic. The one I haven't bought into yet is Kang. I never liked the toy Kang or the cartoon Kang. He was too weedy for me. So I've always wanted to get the, don't know if you know, the Cerebral 01, is it? Cerebral, and it's like it's like almost like a movie Kang, like he was like he was in the new live action movie. Okay. So he's a bit taller. He looks a bit beef. It looks a bit more animatronic. For me, that's the one I wanted to have in the collection. But again, limited release it was. They're normally around 250, 300 quid. So I just never committed to it because again, you can get the other Kang for about 40 quid. So it's like big price difference in that. So so I got those, and I haven't got anywhere to display them yet. So I need to work out how to display those. And then I branched out into Thundercats. And that I did start to try and collect all the characters, and I realized there was too many again, like thinking, oh crap, how many bad guys are there? So I stopped buying the waves after like wave 3, and then just the one or two characters I wanted, and I've got the main core cast now pretty much. And but I do have the pirates, the Captain Hammerhead, and because I had those as a kid. I remember those in the movie. So they always stuck out as just idiots. I love the Motley Crew. So I've got those. So I've got a couple. I've got Captain Hammerhead. I've got the other ones on pre-order because I had those as a kid as well. And then I've got what I call the Thunder Divorce, which is the Thunder Tank because it's so big. And it's called the Thunder Divorce is because if my wife ever saw it, she knows exactly what it is, and she'd Google it, and she found it. She Googled it, and I was a dead man for about a month. And now they released the Thunder Divorce 2.0, which is Cat's Lair, which is about 4 foot high. It's going to rival Unicron for it when it comes out. Okay, yeah. The figures can actually sit inside that, so I'm looking forward to when that comes out next year at some point. So I've got those, and I've also got, I'll just show up here, I've got some He-Man figures as well. The rather large ones, the 12-inch ones. There we go. So I've got Skeletor, Merman, and Man-at-Arms. So I got those, and I worked out that I'll take them or leave them a little bit. They're okay, but I bought them because I wanted the Skeletor, and then the other two was for sale as well, and they were really cheap. Like, in the grand scheme, I say really cheap. They're probably about £200 each when you buy them new, 200, 250. They're retailed on the second-hand market for about 300. I was thinking I was picking them up for about 150 each. So I figured I could always bet my money back on those characters. I did this because I saw that they were selling a Battle Cat and a He-Man. So Battle Cat and He-Man come out at the end of this month. I think Battle Cat's like, well, if He-Man's 12 inches tall, it's Battle Cat. That's on its way. I'm a dead man again when that comes in the post. But then I'll probably sell the other characters because I was like, do I really want to have a Beast Man and a Trapjaw? And Trapjaw's on pre-order, so I need to cancel that. Because again, it's where you display other stuff. So I got those, and then you might have seen up there. I've got my Joy Toy. Joy Toy is Space Marines. So Warhammer 40k. So I've got a few Space Wolves up there, which again, they're okay. I started to get into that and realised that this is a slippery slope. Ironically, we've got another group actually on Facebook that we called Paul created and added me as an admin, and we've now got over 3,000 followers on that. And on Joy Toy, and now they send us a Joy Toy figure once a month and a Legends figure once a month, and we give it away on the show. So that's growing quite exponentially. I just wish I was into it more. They're lovely figures. But they're all the same. I find that they're all just obviously the repaints.
Right.
And that's the thing that bugs me about it. It's like it's army building, and once you've
Yeah.
done it once, like okay, I've done it. I want to move on. So,
Right.
but then they can resell quite easily enough as well. So I don't think I've got anything else that's apart from, again, the rest of it's just Transformers. Oh, Dragon Ball Z. I was into Dragon Ball Z as a kid and an adult as well.
Yeah.
So I haven't collected any of the Bandai figures, like the action figures, but I do have a
Right.
set of Dragon Ball. I do have a set of Dragon Balls which glow.
Yeah.
So I've got those. They actually are in the lounge because my wife accepted that, because that's
Right.
an ornament.
Yeah.
Glass balls. They're glass balls. So that's an ornament, right? So
Yeah.
that's the glass cabinet. And then I do have a set of hardback. I've got the original comics upstairs, Marvel G1 comics, and I've got the hardback. I'm trying to think what the brand was that did them. Hatchet.
Oh,
Hatchet
yeah.
books. I've got the 100 Hatchet books, which was bloody hard to find the last few of those. And I've also got the IDW Phase 1, 2, and Phase 3.
Right.
Hardback as well, which I'm reading as well. So I've got those as well. So I guess they're not Transformers, but they're Transformers memorabilia and stuff. So
Yeah. Well, there's some good stuff there. I had a brief dalliance with. I picked up some of the He-Man Origins figures.
Yep.
And I had them for a few months, and then I sold them on. I'm just trying to think what else. But the main thing outside for me outside of Transformers is, well, you can probably see here and back there, is the old ZX Spectrum. You know, the home microcomputer from 1982. That's my other big thing, really. In fact, probably at the moment, it's probably as big as Transformers for me at the moment. Is that it's just growing arms and legs. I've got about 10 or 11 box Spectrums in all working, and I've got a few hundred games. Sorry,
all different. Are they the same?
Well, those three are all the same, but they're. I think that's an issue 3 board, that's an issue 2 board, and that's an issue 4 board with an issue 1 keyboard. Then I've got a Spectrum Plus just tucked away around the back there that you can't see. These two, I've got an all black Spectrum and then an all white one. White keyboard, white case. I've got a +2 here, which is my everyday Spectrum. So when I want 5 minutes break from working, I just put the Spectrum on, have a game of Manic Miner. I've got a little Philips Cube TV down here from '84. I've got a boxed Atari VCS. I've got the Spectrum 128K, another +2, another they're all. I've got loads of them, and they all work, and you know. So I just take, like the Transformers, I take them out occasionally, and rotate them and fire them up and load them up. I've got my cassette players here to load the games on. You know, so
I think we have a Spectrum 128. Is that the one with has almost like a rainbow bar, like 3 little colours across one side of it? It's black, isn't it? And it's got those 3 little colours across one side. It's normally you load it with discs, don't you? The Spectrum 128.
That's the +3s. That Spectrum +3.
Okay.
And yeah, it has like the rainbow effect, you know, that you can see there, like at the. That's the rainbow mark. Yeah. The +3 is the one with the disc drive. The +2 has a cassette deck, and then the Plus and the old Spectrum. But the +2 and the +3 was made after Amstrad had bought them out.
Mm-hmm.
So they are Spectrums, but they're not technically. The architecture in them isn't Spectrum. It's Amstrad made, but they do have compatibility with Spectrum games. But then, other than that, then I've got a few Zoids. Just the main, the main ones. I've got Zoidzilla and Red Horn, and I've got a Trooper Zoid and a Hell Runner. But they're boxed as well. They're all over there. And then the other thing was Action Force. A grey. I mean, we'll get to this. Well, actually, I've dropped that now. I've dropped that question, but I did used to have a question in there about Grail Item. Well, Grail Item for me was the escape armor for Action Force, which was just basically just like a little clamshell, looked like a robot clamshell that went over a Red Shadow figure. And I can remember seeing that on the toy shelves when I was a kid, and it was one of those things that, oh, I want that. But then when I went to get it, there was always something else that, caught my eye more than that. So I just ended up going that way. So I never ended up getting it. Well, I did manage to get it eventually. And he's in a box down there. And then I picked up a couple of red shadows because I thought, oh, well, it'd be nice just to have a couple of red shadows next to it. I got a Baron Ironblood, and then got a Black Major, then I got a couple of Krakens, some Mutons, and then Morgan, bless him, from Gear for Geeks. I've known Morgan 20 odd year. He gets in touch and he says, I've got a hyena, which is like it's the Action Force version of a HISS tank from G.I. Joe. And it came with Red Jackal, which was a repaint of Destro. He says, do you want that? I went, go on then, I'll take it. Then a few months later, he's like, do you want a Robo Skull? And I'm like, oh, Christ. I'm like, yeah, go on then, give me a Robo. So I've got a absolutely pristine, complete Robo Skull with the Red Wolf pilot, which, if you ever look up on the internet how much they're going for, it's just absolutely stupid money that they go for.
Wow.
But I mean, I'll never sell it because it's just. I don't know if you've seen a Robo Skull. It's an amazing thing. It looks gorgeous.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yeah, you Google it. You Google Robo Skull.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Basically, it looks like a skull version of a TIE fighter.
Yeah, red skull. Big red skull.
Yeah.
Which flies.
Yeah. It's just
Very
like absolutely bonkers. It has no right being a cool toy, but it just is. There's just something about it that's, But yeah, those are my other bits outside of Transformers. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to you, sir, because that's what it's all about. This to listen to me droning on. So, right. So those are the toy lines then that we're looking at. You mentioned your He-Man, your Thundercats, and your Turtles and that.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the cartoons, comics, and things like that you're watching as a kid then when you were growing up?
Majority of them, yeah. I used to watch a few more. But again, you said as a child, it was very hard to find stuff. I think Turtles was pretty much on all the time in the 90s. Transformers was hit or miss, right? Used to go to Blockbuster and rent it out, right? He-Man was always on. I guess they were the main ones. I collected a lot more as a child. Generally, like things like Dino Riders or Starcom. Had a little bit dips into a little bit of Zoids, GoBots.
Yeah.
I guess these are the ones I primarily focused on, and got the joy out of them. I think I've still got all the Thundercats as well. I think I've got all the action figures still. So my mum has a lot of the ones that didn't get sold off the car boot in the 90s.
Right.
When I was naive, sold all my original Star Wars stuff off back in the, I think I got £15 from ATAT back in the day. Yeah. Ewok Village gone, Millennium Falcon gone, which I would have, the boys would love playing with those now, right? I've still got my Fist Pounder and Snake Mountain and a load of those. And the boys are playing with that. They go around to Nan's house, they just get all out, and they because they're all a similar sort of size as well. Turtles, He-Man, Thundercats. You could put them all together. You wouldn't even know which character's which, right? If you didn't watch the cartoon, you could interact and make your own stories, really. But yeah, they're the main ones. I did follow sort of Transformers through into like sort of the Beast Wars era and Beast Machines era. And again, I did watch it when it was Armada and the Unicorn trilogy. Dipped in it now, right? If it was on TV, like I flicked it on. I didn't go out of my way to watch it. I think it was before Sky Plus or Sky Go, whatever you can.
Right.
Yeah, it was before you could record TV, right? So if it was on, I watched a bit of it. Right, it was there. If I had 20 minutes, right? But again, by that time I was probably in my 20s, so it was out with girls and stuff.
Yeah.
Lads.
Oh yeah, we all know that one. So it sounds like then you're pretty much watching you're watching the cartoons then of the stuff that you're buying and playing with us, playing with the toys as a kid. But I mean, is there other stuff that you're enjoying as a kid as well? Things like maybe TV shows or movies, and I mean even music as well. What kind of stuff's going off there?
I wasn't really exposed too much to, I would say, much out of popular culture with music. My mum was always against like rock music and stuff. I wasn't allowed to listen to any Iron Maiden or Guns N' Roses because it's the devil's music, etc. So so I used to listen to a lot of pop music and mainstream music. Or Michael Jackson. I was a big fan of Michael Jackson actually, because I think that was the first CD I was ever bought. I think his Thriller album was the first one I was ever bought. My uncle bought me that when I was about 7 or 8, I think, at the time. It was a good album, so it still is.
Yeah, it's good.
Ironically, I've lost the CD somewhere. I can't find the original CD. Between the house moves, I've lost that CD. I'm really disappointed because it was original one that came out like 1984. I think it came out. Like he gave it to me. So I guess that was otherwise it was still have a lot of good cartoons. I'll still sit there and watch cartoons with my kids. I love anime and stuff, so and my wife and I love watching cartoons and anime as well. Not as much as me. I still like watching all the Justice League and things like that, so it's quite nice now. You go back onto Disney and you can rewatch Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends, or Marvel Spider-Man from the 90s, which is a fantastic series still. Silver Surfer, all of that stuff, which X-Men. I just love all that. Well, anything which involves good and evil, right, is always a popular one. I used to love watching some of the obscure movies as well. There was one, I can't remember what it was called. I have to remember it. I'll ping it over to you. But it started off in the mines with these guys with laser whips. It was almost like a rip-off of Star Wars at the time. But I remember like the bad guy being quite scary because he always had like, he was like Darth Vader. Just it was cartoons set in a mine when someone, the old man died trying to save someone. So that's like someone died in a cartoon. That's really scary. Yeah. So so I love anything which is like that, or fantasy really. Used to like watching the old original cartoon Lord of the Rings when it was first out. Thought that was quite good. And then all the usual things like Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, that sort of stuff. So anything fantasy, sort of imagination, my mind was blown. I was a very visual learner, really. I still can't read a book properly, like without falling asleep. I can take information. I have to do it, or I have to watch it. It's really hard for me. Reading something for me is just not my forte. And my eldest is the same way. He's a visual person, visually. Middle child's alright. He likes reading. He does love a book. Like my wife, she doesn't put a book down. We're just chalk and cheese like that. So, but yeah, anything which involves fantasy or cartoons is my forte, really.
It's interesting because when I speak to my mum about back in the day and when I was a kid, apparently when I was really young, everything was just Spider-Man. It was all about Spider-Man, and I can remember watching the old TV show with Nicholas Hammond in, the live action Spider-Man show, and there's my mum has these photographs, and nearly all these photographs I've got this Spider-Man figure in my hand, and it's a 12-inch figure, and it was made by Remco, so we're talking like mid-70s, and it's like this battery-powered Spider-Man that had this cable that came out of his hand, and you'd attach it to something, and it'd climb up on this cable that came out of his hand, and it had a torch that he could plug into his waist, and he'd hold it in his other hand and that. So that was, Spider-Man was apparently an early one for me. But yeah, there's one, and I'm almost tempted to buy it. I remember watching a program as a kid called The Adventure Game. It used to be on BBC One, and then it went to BBC Two, and you'd have celebrities. It was like a really early version of Crystal Maze, and they've brought it out on DVD. All 4 series on DVD, and I was looking at it, thinking, I might get that, because I used to enjoy that. But like I say, all the cartoons, I mean, there were a lot of early stuff. I mean, like Jamie and the Magic Torch, Chortle and the Wheelies, all that stuff, Will-O the Wisp. and then like say Transformers very sporadically. I used to watch Thundercats, things like Willy Fogg but Turtles and things like those, and like Brave Star and things. I think they must have come a bit later on because I never got to watching those. Those things kind of passed me by.
I remember Brave Star. I did like the movie of Brave Star actually. That was
yeah.
Good. Yeah, I didn't think the series. I thought the series was average. The movie was pretty good. I thought.
Right. Now, I mean, I know we've mentioned you've talked, about the toys and that you were playing with as a kid, because you talked about the Thundercats and stuff like that. Were there any did like board games or anything like that factor in? Oh, actually, no, sorry, I did forgot to ask you about that as well. Comics. Were you a big comic reader as a kid?
I used to. That film, by the way, Star Chaser: Legend of Orrin.
Right.
That film. So if you have a look at that, it came out in 1985.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch. It's like a rip of Star Wars, but it's
Yeah.
pretty decent, and it's good animation as well. So Star Chaser: Legend of Orrin, that's the one to watch. Comics, yes, I did used to like reading comics. I used to find that because again, didn't used to buy them. Like it was very rare that I got a comic because again, you used to have to subscribe back in the day to actually get them on a regular basis. So I think I used to read them at the doctors. And my favourite one that I used to read over and over and over was, I think it was number 84, or I think it was Time Wars, when Magnus and Galvatron fought.
Yeah.
That famous one. That was, and so every time I looked forward to going to the doctors because I used to get to read a comic again.
Right.
So comics wise, I had a few. I feel a few stories stuck out, like you mentioned City of Fear with Impactor. Remember that one? That scared me as a kid as well. Or the one where Outback saved Prime from Magnus and the Wreckers, and he got ripped apart by a beast. So there was I think I went back to comics a bit later on in my life to go back and reread them as well. I guess that's why I've got the hardbacks as well. I went back and started trying to read them from episode 1, and they are so word heavy. Like the first, I don't know how many, like at least 30 comics are very word heavy, and then they changed to be a bit more interactive, I think, and sort of easy to follow. So I did go back into it. I found it very hard. But I used to follow the pictures. I think the beauty of it was being a comic, you don't have to be able to understand all the words or read all the names. You can follow the story the action right without that. And that's what I like about it. So that's what I liked about comics as well. I said I learned visually. So I really So massive on that. I think other comics I had were the Turtles comics I've already enjoyed. Ewoks occasionally, if you remember the Ewoks comic, that was always good.
I remember the cartoon, but I never saw or read the comic.
There was a comic for Ewoks, and there was Care Bears as well. I used to get that. It's like depends what there is, right? Because like you go to the
girls' blouse.
You go to the store, right, and you go, "What is that?" And everyone likes everyone. Don't tell me. Everyone loves the Care Bears intro, right? Not Care Bears, Gummy Bears. Not thinking Care Bears.
Looks like Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears. That's the one. Thinking Care Bears.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Exactly, like my thought process right now. The Gummy Bears.
Care Bears. You nearly had to hand your man card in then.
No, sorry, Gummy Bears. I've had a few. I think I've got probably one or two. You go back to Mum's loft. You sort of look at all the things you used to have as a kid, and literally the occasional one or two. Because again, you go to the local newsagent, and unless you pre-order something on a regular basis, you basically went there. It was like potluck, what they had, right? They sometimes order things in, and like, the newsagent would, if it's sold out, they probably order more. But if it's sold out, you don't always get one that week, do you? So, and you never got it. Either that, or I think it was like sticker albums, right? So I had the Transformers sticker album, Panini 92 Premiership album, the first one that came out of that. So there's a few of those really. So sticker albums was really the other thing as well back in the day, as well as comic books.
I had the sticker book. I've still got it. I've still got my sticker book. That's packed away. Is that? And I remember Oh, bloody hell. What year was it? Was it 86? No, it wasn't 86. I remember getting the sticker album for the World Cup. PK, the chili, was the mascot for the World Cup. I'm useless at football. I did used to be a big football fan. I was a Liverpool supporter for years. But then when it went to the Premiership, I fell out with football because it was like, it's about money now. It's not about the game anymore, and I kind of left it. I thought, right, and I washed my hands of it, and I walked away from it. But yeah, my day were Souness and Dalglish and Ian Rush and Phil Neal and Ronnie Whelan and that. Those are my days. My claim to fame, just quickly, is meeting and having a chat with Thingy. Oh, bloody hell. I was talking about him today. Oh, Jesus. It's gone. Curly-haired bloke.
Oh, what, Newcastle guy? Not Keegan.
That's it, Kevin Keegan. Jesus Christ. Oh.
Mate, he said Perm. I was like, Keegan?
Yeah, Kevin Keegan, yeah. Sorry. Oh, Jesus, yeah. Because he was a Liverpool player, but he left, and he left for Liverpool years back. So he was there like when Emily Hughes and that were there. But, a place that I was working at the time, years ago, he came in with his daughter, and I was just sat talking to him for ages, like, and I ended up as a bit of a piss take, because my good mate is a Man U fan through and through. Always has been, even since we were kids. And I said to him, I said, it's my mate's birthday soon. I said, would you mind just signing a card to him and this, like, for laugh? And he did, bless him. Top bloke. He signed his card for him, like, But yeah, that was went off on one there. Yeah. Anyway, he distracted by football. But yeah, so. Where were we? Right. Okay. So back to toys. Right. So there's you've been talking about your comics and stuff, but just going back to the toys again. Do you have any standout memories of a toy that you received, like on a birthday or a Christmas time?
It was probably 2 Christmases that stand out for me. Actually, no, 3. Going back, Christmas. It was always Christmas over birthdays. I think we tend to get most toys at Christmas. That's what we got split over birthdays, really, because parents could buy stuff for both of us. I remember. I think I got bought. I know this wasn't quite fair, but I remember I got bought Double Dealer. I was really happy with buying Double Dealer, and to me, that's still probably one of the best Transformer toys that came out because of all the. For it had fairly decent articulation for what it was, and it had obviously the 3 modes and the gimmicks as well. My little brother got bought Scorponok that year,
right?
So bit of a difference in size.
I
didn't complain, but Metroplex did, which I got the year before. So,
right.
Never won a battle on. So for me, Double Dealer probably was one of the ones that stood out for me. I think one year. Parents bought second-hand toys one year, but didn't complain. Like, I think we got given Grey Skull, Snake Mountain, and Shiraz Palace all in one go, and then dozens of like the figures at the time. Someone's kid grew out of the collection, and we got bought that. So that was really quite, and that was like the lounge was a massive battle scene for a good month. Really, combine those castles, that was really good as well. But I think it was nice getting the toys at the end of the bed, and I think obviously Double D was one of the older ones. On my younger ones, I think my birthday, I got given Optimus Prime and Rodimus Prime. I think almost on the same year. I think Optimus Prime's birthday and Rodimus Prime might have been Christmas at the time. And parents were always very impressed with how I could actually transform things out of the box without instructions. Just got it.
Yeah.
What they didn't know was I used to know where they hid the toys, and for months before I got the toys, I used to go and play with them and put them back in the box. And I was very good at that because the babysit was pretty shit. And they used to hide in my mum's sewing room, and in my mum's sewing room, I could hear the car come in the driveway, look out the window, put it all back, put it back in there,
right,
go back to my bedroom, and none the wiser. So I
Right.
think, yeah, most Transformers I got given for a birthday or Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no instructions needed. Just go on with it. To be honest, I didn't use the instructions in the first place, but I had time to fiddle. Like, they were out because they were out for an hour or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
I had time to crack on with it, really. So
Yeah.
yeah.
This figure's mysteriously already got the stickers applied straight out of the box. That's pretty cool. Is that? I think there was only 1 year I found some presents, but then after that it was just like no. Because I mean I did used to go hunting. I did used to go looking about, But no, there was only 1 year that I found them, and that were it. Then it were like I think they knew I were busted. I think they knew that I'd found them, so there was moved somewhere else, and then I never found them again after that. But so that's the thing. I mean, evidently, we end up growing up, unfortunately, and well, physically we might grow up, I think, but the jury's still out on whether we grow up mentally or not with being in this business that we have collecting. But did you move on from toys then? Did grow out of them and move on? And if you did, do you have any memories or recollections of maybe not the last toy you got, but roundabout when it was coming to the end of anything that you got towards the end there?
Yeah, I did. Like I think most of us found other things. Went out and went on our bikes a bit more, played a bit more sport, went out with girls, went to the pub, that sort of stuff. Extracurricular activities and that sort of thing. I went back into it in the early noughties when I was early 20s before I met my good wife. As a friend of mine was getting married, and he used to collect the Transformers when we used to do a few swaps and things. So I swapped him once 2 Dinobots for Protector Bots, that sort of thing. So we did trades and stuff. He actually had Overlord as well as a child, which I had Lightspeed, he had Overlord. So again, he always used to win the fights. But he asked me to sell his collection on eBay because I started buying and selling the stuff, and I managed to then keep the ones I wanted and buy them off him and sell everything else, really. And that got me back into it a little bit. I started collecting the G1 stuff, but I didn't realize there were knockoffs as well. I didn't know as much about the figures, like could I tell if it was a knockoff or not. So I've got things upstairs boxed, and like I think a couple of them like just look too pristine to be. Like they're good knockoffs, but again, I could never tell. So I got in and out of it again in my early 20s, and then as my good wife, and we've been married now over 9 years. When we moved into this place, actually, she got me for Christmas a set of Detofs, and because again I took the Transformers from Mum, sorted them all out, and put them in the loft, and she knew I was proud of them, so she said, "Well, why don't you display them?" And then it's a bit of your history, and it's like they're quite cool. So, so she got me out, and I had these 3 Detofs, and I had all my G1 figures displayed.
Right.
I used to rotate them, transform them every probably 6 months, and make little displays of them until I then suffered from GPS, gold plastic syndrome, and my Skyhammer foot on the middle part of the Pretender snapped.
Right.
And I was heartbroken with it, and I was like, do you know what? If that's again, never had anything which has been brittle. They've always been pretty bulletproof, but I realised that a couple of them were actually starting to get a little bit older, a little bit harder to transform. So since then, stuck them all back in a loft, and then has 3 empty Detofs there.
Yeah.
And what you do? I said, I don't know. And we found out about this little thing called auto assembly at the time. Popped down there. I think at the time, Miles was our eldest. He was a baby, so we're looking at about 7 years ago now. And that's when I saw MP1, MP10. I think that's when the Masterpiece scale was changing, and this was back in the day when you had the TFC Make Toys, you'd Make Toys Giant and TFC Hercules, the Devastator Wars, right? Back in the day, and then still people arguing about that then. And MMC had just come out with their Feral Rex as well, and there was MP1 there and MP10. It's like, which one did you go for? And it took a lot of consideration before I went for MP10. She bought me an MP10 then for my birthday at the time, because it was around, I think it was around July at the time, and also August at the time, and that got me started. I think after that I bought Magnus, because MP22 I saw that, I realized there was a lot more. So she then bought me MP36
You're right.
for my birthday. I think a couple of a year or two later, and then it was like slippery slope.
yeah.
So,
It is,
straight
yeah.
straight back into MPs really. And I
Right.
was a purist MP collector. Didn't care about anything else. Was happy about these things that walked off the screen. And then I got into Legends because again, Magic Square were picking up the game. New Age just come out with a few bots, and they were, Paint Job of New Age is amazing. I've got a few the live action bots now as well, so I started collecting like these things as well.
Oh
So
yeah.
I've got the DLX Prime and Soundwave and the big Mega Tank Megatron. So I've got a few of those now. So it's like, yeah, I've got way too back into it. And
Right.
then set up a channel with three other guys, and never look back really. So
Yeah. So
so
right. So that's how you got back into it. What was the one particular figure that did get you back into it, that drew you back in?
MP10.
MP10. It would be the MP10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And I
before
think at the
that,
time when I
then-
was looking at all the G1 stuff, I thought it was nice.
yeah.
But I was like, I realized I don't know, it was too much to still go after. Like,
Right.
I really wanted it. I've never had I've only ever owned Octopunch, and I've never
Right.
I've had him on his own. I've got him as Carboot. Never had any of his buddies, right? So I looked at the Seacons. That was like, do you get the reissue? Do you get the original? And I saw Blaster Perceptor. And I was like, do I really want these? Do I want to date my heroes, or do I want to look at the modern versions of them? Like, and my good wife Sam was very supportive and said, just do what you want. Like, sure, like,
Right.
do what makes you happy. So, and I really, really, really love the MPs. They just like, they look like they walk off the screen.
Yeah.
I like the cartoon accuracy. So I guess MP10 definitely got me back into it.
Right. So before that, then, because I think I might have skipped this one, I'm not right sure, but can you remember, when you grew out of toys? Can you remember a last toy, or was there something that stands out, before you did move on?
Yeah, I've still got them actually. It was trying to think who bought them for us. I think it might have been my gran at the time when she was alive. My brother got one, and I got one, and it was the G2 Predacon Raptors.
Right.
And you had, I can't remember what the Autobots were called. I think they were called Throttlebots, Turbobots. And you had Boss, who was the blue car who could fight, his cannon at the front that could fire missiles, and
Right.
the Predators could fire, because they've just done the TFCon version of it, haven't they? So Skystalker was just come out as Legacy. He was he was the leader, and then I think TFCon have just released a re-release of I can't remember. I think it's just called Stalker actually, which is the mobile artillery version, has the Predacon, and then the Autobots had Thunderclash, and then they had the Turbobots, I think they were called.
Right.
They all had like little missile features. I remember the bots, the plastic on them being not as good.
Right.
Like, I remember one of the wings, the sort of like the flight wings at the back, tail fin snapped on mine. I think it did. It just wasn't. I remember it just wasn't as good. And they were like really abstract colors. And at the time, I didn't like the abstract colors. I thought, oh, they're trying to be too toon, and the storyline just didn't seem to step up.
No.
So like there was a limited number of characters as well. So at the time, I was like, if I'm feeling like this, I can't see a future going beyond it. Maybe it's time to just call it. And I've had my fun. That's it now. I probably was at the time. I think I probably was at the time about 11 or 12, moving on to secondary school.
Yeah.
So I think I might have had them, and I watched the cartoons still, but I stopped playing with the toys.
Right. Oh. So bringing it back in line with the questions then, because we've gone forward one, gone back one, so we'll go forward again now. We should be back on track now. What do you enjoy most about collecting?
I like the puzzle element. I like to. It's quite satisfying to flick a bot back and forth. Really, That's always quite cool. There's always the wow factor when you get something out, like you mentioned, Chomp, Skull Cruncher. You get one out like that, fan toys, you go,
Yeah.
and you go, that's a good piece of kit. And you get something out and you go, yeah, it's good. Like, it looks really nice. There's been a few bots like that which still do that for me. But few and far between now, but I still like that. But it's nice getting with some of the older figures out now. So you get like the original MP3 Soundwave or the X9 Carry, Richard Rodimus. Some of the older designs which are a bit more simple, but they're still good transformations. The MP Magnus is still a good transformation, I find. My party trick used to be transforming MP10 back and forth in a minute from either mode. So I like the simplicity of that. But sometimes it's nice as well to, if I get an idea in my head, again, I don't get as much time to myself to think about these sort of things. But when you get inspired about something and you want to take a photograph, like I remember, I think when MMC Getaway came out, I hadn't got that far in the comics, but then Andy from the show, he mentioned obviously Getaway is one of his favorite bad guys and like sort of what happened there, and I didn't put this little fight scene together. It was just I got inspired, and it was things like that really. Or I think when Magic Square did their Ultra Magnus, and it was the first Magnus at the time, which was a shell former to go round the prime body. I did the whole cut scene about him and Galvatron, which was quite cool. So those little moments when you get to those and you get to see the photographs come together, the story, that's really satisfying. I really like that. So don't get as much time to do that, but little things like that, like I've got the old Cybertron, the old Primus from and this makes my moon for Unicron to eat. It does hold it. So that it's those little things like that you go, oh, that actually works quite well. Creating my own little scene still, so that's what I like as well.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, then, what do you dislike most about collecting?
The cost is too expensive. Like figures, price goes up. Like Legends is the new MP. You go back 6 years, the price of a good Legends figure was the price of an MP figure. 70-80 quid. It's hard. And that does frustrate you as well. Like you sometimes handle figures with kit gloves. You don't want to. There's a couple of figures I've heard have been horror transformations, or there's just been this one bit on them where you get that one bit wrong once, you scratch the figure and you can't get that paint back, right? So that frustrates me. I think Build Control, X-Transbots, when they brought all their coots, like their cup, I think I had who didn't have a version 1 and a version 2. Even my version 2 fell apart. I had to get another one of those. So that's really frustrating when you have to send something back. Yeah. And you have to justify it. And it's like, and they don't take paint chips as justification. Like some kind of box with it's got a dodgy face sculpt. That's it, right? You sort of, but because again, if you send it back, you can send it back. But if it's a popular figure, it's sold out, right, everywhere. So you're paying secondhand, late tax, then, aren't you? Which is frustrating. So I guess that's the hard thing. I guess I've been frustrated sometimes with transformations. Well, like I think everyone's got a bot that they just, you've gone through it and you've gone, I'm not doing that again. Even go, if I sell it, I'm selling it in this mode. It's staying how it is. And these days as well with most MPs now, it's because it's easy to get it into robot mode. It's really hard to get it into a clean alt mode. Panels or things flipping out. So so many bots now, which is so hard. But like you go, I do want to do it just so I can prove I can do it. It's like I want to be able to prove I can do it to myself. Otherwise, I might as well just buy the action figure.
I mean, I had that recently with X-Transbots Commander Stack. I picked that up, and I transformed it the once to do some photos and a bit of a review for it, and that were it. That's never getting transformed again. It's not that I found it difficult. It's just it's very fiddly, and I don't know what it is with X-Transbots. I think they do some good stuff, but I think there's just something in the quality of the plastic that they use.
Mhm.
You know, it feels a bit thin in places. You know, but that said, I picked up Janssen, X-Transbox Janssen, their Perceptor,
Mhm.
and I love that. That's a great figure. That feels like a weight. You know, that's a really heavy figure, and it's a good quality figure. The only thing I don't particularly like is the hands. I don't like the way that they've done the hands on it. But other than that, I think it's a great figure. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think the prices on stuff, but I mean that could be just because I'm a tight-fisted Yorkshireman. You know, I've got to take that into consideration. You know, it's that's a big thing. Especially when you look back and you think like the Legends stuff. I do have a couple of New Age stuff, but I've been really strict with myself, and I've gone for the toy decos of Megatron and Prime and Grimlock, and I'm going to finish out. I'm going to finish out the Dinobots, and then call it a day on those. But it's like, for what they are, I think they're too expensive for what they are. You know.
Yeah, Grimlock's about £70 now, isn't he?
Yeah,
So-
and it's ridiculous, especially when you get something like, you know, that roller that we were talking about, and it's only £30.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, where's the and even like with Figurante, that's £60. Is Figurante?
Mhm.
You know, and it's like, you know, that's hopefully going to be a good, decent MP figure. You know, for the same money that you pay for something half its size. You know, on a Legend scale. But yeah, there's other things that I dislike, but we haven't got the time. You know, maybe on another discussion that'd be. So, right. So, bearing in mind where you are now, then with your collection and stuff like that, if you could go back to a point when you were just starting again collecting, what advice would you give your younger self? You know, when you were just starting back out collecting.
Hold out, like don't buy a figure because you have a gap to fill. There's a few figures that you buy which you then replace, but if you don't like the figure, wait for the review. I think, unless it's fan toys these days, even fan toys I think don't always sell out now.
No.
So
No.
it's I would say wait, and then wait to assess what's there, right, and go for the chase, because you get far more satisfaction with that chase. And frustration, but normally at the end of it you get it eventually if you look for something hard enough. That I would say. And then I would say pick one. Don't go MP or Legends, pick one. Just pick one. It's because it's really hard now. Like, I've got New Age and Magic Square boxed up. I got my New Age boxed up. Haven't sold them. I've sold my own factory. I've got Magic Square. I've got New Age, and at one point I have to make a choice of which one's the right ones.
Yeah.
To fit into the collection. Because again, they both do things well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, if you've got New Age Firefox and you decide to sell that, let me know.
I do have New Age Firefox. I didn't buy Magic Square Jetfire. I didn't like him.
No.
I liked the New Age version. I thought it was better. It's like a mini Fans Toys.
Yeah.
But saying that, I've got my Fans Toys in jet mode. You can see just over my shoulder here. And then the Takara version in the robot mode.
Right.
I don't know. I can't decide which one's for which, really. So yeah, that's down there because I was going to take pictures of it and maybe put it online to sell.
Right.
But I haven't brought myself to it just yet. That's why I paused that's why my conveyor belt's paused. Plus, it's a really big figure to take photographs of. It's hard to create more space on my desk.
So, right. If it's any different, then what advice would you give to a collector that's just starting out now? You know, so you know, and it doesn't, you know, doesn't necessarily just have to be Transformers. It could be just collecting any toy line or any franchise. But you know, someone who's just starting out now, what advice would you give them?
set yourself goals. Don't listen to FOMO. Nothing's ever truly sold out. So set yourself budgets, and they collect what you actually truly have emotional attachment to and love. Don't be drawn in. I've been drawn in by things before, like because I've believed the hype.
Yeah,
It's not worth. Nothing's worth the hype. So stick to your goals, stick to your budget, collect what you love.
Yeah. It's good advice. Yeah. Right, we're almost at the end. This is really the last question now. It's got two parts to it. Actually, no, it's the second to last one, because I've just looked at my notes here. I've actually snuck another one in. What aspects of the collecting community do you like and dislike?
Ooh, that's a political question. So I
like to throw one in now and again, you know.
I like the social aspects of it. I've always been a bit socialite, and I made some good friends on the journey, really, which I chat to guys on a fairly regular basis. So I really like that, and the ability that we can get together. It doesn't have to be anything to do with Transformers. We can just get together for a few beers and things, and that's always good fun. I really enjoy that. What I dislike at the same time as well is there's still can be a lot of clickiness in certain communities. I find that there's almost prejudice in certain ways as well, and Twitter I find is toxic completely. I think it's amazing sort of like the sort of crap that gets said on Twitter, and people just jump in. Someone says something, and sometimes it's a joke, or sometimes someone just says something on their mind, and they get trolled. And even like quite influential people in the community get trolled. I mean, there's a lot of like press around, like when people just jump on the bandwagon for someone that's done nothing wrong. Even in the news at the moment as well. Won't name any names, but that I still find is quite toxic. I don't like that. That's probably the one thing I dislike about it. But I do think that when there's a challenge around something, and people band together to help each other as well at the same time. So there's a real sense of community there as well. So and end of the day we're all there for the same reason, right? Because for our love of the franchise. So and that's good. So it's a double-edged sword though, really, because you don't get one without the other.
Right. Yeah, I think it's pretty much how I feel about it. There are some, like anything, there's positives and negatives to it, and I think that my one main thing that I dislike about the community is how seriously some people take it. They're just really kind of, you just think to yourself, come on, it's no matter which way you cut it, at the end of the day, the toys, even the collectible stuff, they're still toys, and it's like it's not worth getting, overzealous or bent out of shape over stuff. There's stuff that's far more important and meaningful than that, and that's the one aspect that I don't. And obviously, people who also take themselves and the collecting too seriously, just. It's meant to be fun, have a bit of fun with it, be self-deprecating, send yourself up, send your collection up, it's not, that's the thing. But yeah, there is a real camaraderie as well in the community, which I like, I think for the most part, people have got your back as well, if things are, if you haven't got something or you need something, there's people out there that look out for you. Whether it's just something that you're after or even information as well. If there's something you don't quite know, there's always someone who can help you out. And I think for the majority as well, there's no judgment behind that as well. There are other collecting communities that I've taken part in, and people will get, funny comments or things like that if they don't know a particular thing. And it's like, well, you can't know everything. Or if somebody new comes into it, there's kind of like a looking down the nose of new members or new collectors that are just starting, and it's like, well, it don't matter when you came into it. The fact is that you're here and you're enjoying something that we enjoy. It's and it's that's all good. That's all good. So, right, so the last one then is, and I think you kind of alluded to this earlier on, but then you kind of went back on it. But the last one I will ask is, do you think you'll ever stop collecting? Do you think a time will come where you say you'll close the book on it and it'll be like, right, I'm now done?
If I saw a way out, an easy way out, it's trying to downsize and sell. It's quite hard, like waiting for those cheap days on eBay and putting things online, right? That's quite hard. If I could sell it all potentially for a good price, I think everyone, most people would, right? Yeah, I get, it's hard, right? Because in the back of my mind, going, well, who's going to buy all my crap? But I'm sure there's a market out there, right? Pretty sure if I put my Gigapower Dinos on, or my Defamation Space Seekers or things like that. But again, it's timing, right? It's supply and demand, the market. So I'm pretty sure I could probably sell it all. But again, it's like you've got to be prepared to take low prices of some and high prices of the other. So right.
But
now,
I mean, not even to sell. I mean, could you envision where you just stop collecting, but you keep your collect. You think to yourself, right, my collection's done now. That's it. I'm stopping. Yeah,
I mean, I think season 1 and 2 are pretty much done. Like with X Transbots and MMC Protector bots. They seem to come out. There's a very small handful of season 1 characters now from Fans Toys, which needs to come out probably to complete that, round that off. Movie cast is done really. So Headmasters and Target Masters, that's pretty much done. Most of the Super Good Master Force and Victory, that's pretty much done. IDW is pretty much done. There isn't that much, like, unless you want to collect all the toy versions of stuff. Like the Omnibots, that was something I never had them really as a kid, so it's quite cool to have. I think 60 quid, I'm not going to lose that much money on selling one on for 50 quid or 40 quid. It's not the end of the world, because again I can sell it to something else, right? So yeah, I'm fairly close to most things. I think, as you said, you upgrade stuff occasionally, right? It's very hard to find certain figures which will be out. I don't think nothing's going to top Defamation Space for a number of years, right? Nothing's top Toy World Constructor since that's come out. Gigapower Dinos, Fans Toys Dinos, I don't see them releasing those for a long time. So Fans Toys Quietus and their new Scourge when it comes out as well. So there's very few and far between now that which are there, I guess. So I imagine probably in the next 2 to 3 years it might be all done and dusted.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to want to continue to carry on with Legends. I said, like, seasons 1 to 4. That's it. They've done all it. They did all the Headmasters in one go. That's done. Protocols, that's pretty much done. Movie's done. So season 1 and 2 is pretty much done. They're re-releasing stuff, aren't they? So yeah, I can't. So I imagine in the next 2 to 3 years, I imagine it probably will be pretty much done. And it's down to how you want to display stuff, really. So then it's about the furniture.
Right. I mean, I remember when I was turning 40, and I thought, right, I'll aim to try and. I thought I'd be done by the time I turned 40. It didn't happen. And then I thought, right, I'll probably be done by the time I turn 45. It didn't happen. Too close to 50 now, and it's like, maybe I've done now. Maybe. The only thing that keeps the goalposts moving is waiting for third-party companies to release the bloody figures. That's the thing. So it's like it's waiting for Fans Toys to release Scourge. It's waiting for them to release their version of Gears. it's waiting for X-Transbots to finish out the Omnibots, and then also, the not throttle bots, the battle charge, battle charges. Runabout, run 'em up.
Yeah.
So it's all dependent on that. And waiting for a replacement for X-Transbots boost. Wind charger.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting. I'm sure they'll do it. Now because they did Park or they did Cliff Jumper. Fans Toys will probably have a crack at Bumblebee next.
Yeah.
So it's just it's the waiting game. That's the thing about the upgrading and buying to replace. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'll let you know September next year whether it's done or not. Whether I can rest on my laurels and think, right, that's it, I've done now. So. But anyway, right, well, that's it. We've done. So all I'll do now is to just hand it back over to you for a bit, Alexis. And if you just want to remind people of who you are and where they can find you, things like social media and stuff like that. So off you go.
Cool, thank you. So, Transformers the Show, we have a YouTube channel of that name. You can catch us Friday nights, 8 p.m. We go live chat, live talk, news, reviews, guests as well. We have a Facebook page, Transformers the Show as well. You can find us on there. We have a Twitter, TF the Show. So come and find us, come and have a chat with us. And you can always find us at conventions like TF UK Con, hosted in May, and then TF Nation in August. So come and say hello and have a bit.
Cool. Good stuff. Right, and sir, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming down into the vault and having a chat with us. It's been really good, really interesting. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Cool. And we'll catch up again sometime.
Sounds good. Take care.
All of us. Take care.
Interface disengaged. Thank you for accessing the Collector's Archive. To enable return access, please select the like, subscribe, and notification icons. Initiating shutdown now.